Danger, fear, difficulty. The most courageous men are looked to for aid in times of dire need and desperation. Heroes, warriors, and messengers of change. All of these great men have one common trait, and that is courage. But what is courage? What does it take to be courageous? The dictionary definition for courage by Merriam-Webster is the mental or moral strength to venture through, persevere, and withstand danger, fear, or difficulty. So there's 3 parts to courage, and it was somewhat listed in the definition as well, and that's venturing through, persevering through, and withstanding danger, fear, or difficulty. Those are the 3 different parts. I'll start off with venturing just so we get the first step. So venturing through danger, fear, or difficulty is symbolized by taking on the challenge. I'll give you an example. Let's say your family is in financial trouble. You see a difficult yet rewarding job opportunity. This is the only one that you know of. It boggles my mind that there are people in this world that would not take that job offer. What is wrong with you? These are people that should matter to you. You can't ease the burdens of your family, even if it was just for yourself. You let yourself drown to avoid facing the difficulty. Courage is about adopting that responsibility regardless of the difficulties. Regardless of the fact that it'll hurt. Regardless of the fact that it'll take effort. Regardless of the fact that you might not be confident that you'll be able to finish the task. And regardless of the fact that you might even fear completing the task, or doing the task, or engaging in the task in the first place. It's about getting things done. It's about taking up the situation regardless. You can't do what you don't work for. You can't help your friends. You can't help your family. You can't even help yourself. You won't even try if you lack courage. If that's the case, then you are nothing but a parasite, just leeching away at the kindnesses of others, just to run away when things go wrong. I can't respect that at all. But I do think it's important to separate courage from foolery. So it may be wondered whether or not a specific act is courageous. You have to ask yourself, will acting on the situation further you? Or is it simply just to fulfill your pride? Or to be stubborn, let's say. If it's one of those 2 cases, you're not even furthering yourself. Courage is about adopting the responsibility because you know it needs to get done. Because you know you need to do something. If you're just acting for the sake of acting, or for the sake of fulfilling that pride, you're no longer trying to benefit your situation. It's not courageous any longer. It's simply just that, trying to be prideful or trying to act on stubbornness. Let's move on to the second case, the second form of courage, and that is persevering. Persevering through danger, fear, or difficulty is not about adopting the challenge, but about committing to it. I spoke about courage in the unknown and how someone may back away from it. But the unknown specifically is a very interesting topic because facing the unknown is especially scary. You don't even know what you're facing up against. However, when you have no other options and you believe that this could actually help you out in the long run to face this challenge of the unknown, the courageous men would take up that burden without a moment of hesitation. An example that I can easily repeat and use in regards to courage when facing the unknown is humanity. Human history can be dated back to refer to courage when facing the unknown. Let's ask you this. Do you think that we knew how to create fire from the get-go? No, we didn't. How about technology? How about what I'm speaking to you with? No, we didn't know how to create technology. We didn't even know fire. We didn't even know how to create electricity. We wouldn't have most of the commonalities that we have today, most of the inventions that we have today, without someone persevering through the unknown, because all of these inventions took time and effort. It took perseverance. Decades, centuries, used up, and their knowledge and their courage and their dedication towards the subject in order to bring forth a solution. However, we now have that solution. So who are you to back away from the unknown simply because it's scary? big businesses, creating different technologies, creating different inventions, obviously to benefit their own lives and to benefit the owner of the business, but also to further society as a whole. Our whole society was created through innovation, but innovation only comes through the unknown. Persevering through the unknown long enough so that you find a solution to a problem that could bring forth something greater. That's what persevering through the unknown is about, and that's what human history has been about up to date, up till now. That's what human history is about, venturing through the unknown. Without perseverance, you start on so many different goals, but don't finish any of them. None. You start on so many different initiatives, and courageous as it may be, it loses its beauty, as I said before. That potential that was once there fades because you've stopped acting on it. Simply like that. You run away at a certain point. You may take the stand and inspire others through that momentum. However, it will fade as quickly as your will. That change may have been sparked by you, but you will never truly grow it. If no one takes up that burden, it will end up as a dream that simply could have been. So, let's move on to the last and final form of courage. And that is withstanding. Withstanding works in two different ways: during and after the event has passed. Withstanding during the event is a crucial step to persevering. It's about not breaking down. You withstand it by continuing with that mentality and that effort and that initiative that you once had as you started, or maybe even grow it even better. But withstanding is about not being affected by that event such that you break down. It directly influences whether or not you're able to persevere, because if obviously you break down, then there's no way for you to persevere any longer. Persevering is about actually taking action, but withstanding during the event is about not losing face and not losing will. After is much more interesting. After, you may ask, how could you persevere, or how could you withstand an event after it's passed? In this case, it's about remaining capable of further action after the event has passed. So, let's say that you completed a goal. This is the more unlikely situation. You've successfully dealt with the situation at hand. Now, you may say you've succeeded then, right? You've withstanded the situation, you've withstood the situation. No, not necessarily. If you end up in a situation in which you start thinking, okay, I finished this goal. I've dealt with the situation. That's enough. I'm done here. I've gotten comfortable with the situation because I already did enough. But, if you end up in a situation in which you're incapable of further action because the situation has passed and you feel comfortable because you've now dealt with the situation, doesn't that mean that the situation's still affecting you negatively at that? It could be brought into question whether or not you truly withstood that situation. Now let's bring into the more common perspective. You fail that situation, and that may be difficult. Let's say you failed a big situation. Maybe you were trying to get a job and you failed that job, or maybe you failed to even be considered as a worthy applicant for that job. That's terrible. But someone without courage, let's say you had that courage because you applied for that job in the first place. You applied for it regardless of the difficulty or regardless of the fear of not getting in. But you haven't gotten in. That's true. That remains true. That's not going to change. Whether or not you go about it in a way that's courageous or that benefits you in the long run, whether or not you internalize that in a way that would benefit you in the long run, could determine whether or not you're truly being courageous. Because it's sad and it makes you angry and it makes you unwilling to continue working when you fail. These negative emotions make you feel unwilling to work. That's what they do. But that's not what they're for. What they're for is to indicate to you that you need to work. So what the truly courageous men would do in that situation is work as hard as they can in order to make sure that that situation does not repeat itself. So they've tried, let's say, making themselves as appealing an applicant as possible. That's what a courageous person would do. A non-courageous person, what they would do is they'd quit. This is my limit. Is this your limit? because you failed one time, will you quit on doing that ever again? Will you be unwilling to at least prepare for that battle if it ever occurs once again? If you are unwilling to at least make an attempt at securing a better position for yourself in this specific field, let's say getting a job, then you haven't withstood it. However, I believe, personally, that even if you fail that situation, if you use that and internalize that to say or to think in your head, I failed, that means I was not good enough. Therefore, I need to work so that I do become good enough, so that I don't continue making these repeated failures. Then, I truly believe that you've actually successfully withstood that situation. If you become far too comfortable, or if you start doubting your abilities to the extent at which you don't want to do any work whatsoever ever again. If your mentality gets worse than it did when it started off because of that event, because maybe of the product even of that event, it could be brought to question whether or not you truly withstood that situation. Now, how exactly is it, in that case, that you build courage? From my knowledge, there's only one way to build courage, and that's through practicing courage. So let's ask yourself a couple questions. 1. What is something you fear to the utmost degree that you think you should change? This is something you should be working towards. If you want to build courage, this is a small step. Maybe, let's say, you fear the dark. You know what I did when I feared the dark? I was a little kid. What I did was I locked myself in the darkest room and just stood there for the night. Simply stood there. I locked myself in, so I had no way of escaping. I locked myself in there to face that fear, to beat it out of me. I truly believe that the only way to build courage is to beat it into you. Only way. Another thing that you might think to yourself, what's one thing that you should be doing that you know that you're not doing? That's one thing that you should start doing. Start working towards that. That's a minor way to build the courage, so that in a situation, in a dire situation, you're able to act on courage because you've practiced being capable of doing so. You've practiced working on your logic to the extent at which, even though you felt that fear, or even though you felt that difficulty, you still overcame it. Once you do that a couple times, you start to realize there's really nothing hard about this at all. It's just a mind game. I've already went through so many different circumstances in which I faced something of difficulty that I didn't want to face, that I feared facing. So when that's the case, when you've already done that a couple times, what's one more? What is one more? Nothing. It's nothing. Because you've faced hundreds already of the same case. Maybe not to the same extent or to the same severity, but you've practiced. And you know you could replicate it because you've done it before. You know that you're courageous enough to do so. Now, I'll outline one last thing, and that is an example of a courageous character. One that a lot of us probably know pretty well. Martin Luther King fought for equality of black and white people during a time in which there was discrimination against black people. There's no way he wasn't scared. Absolutely none. There's no way he never felt the difficulty. It hasn't been accomplished before, to his knowledge. He still did it because that was what he dreamed of. That's what he had belief in. That's what he thought was right. His efforts inspired others, and that exactly is what paved the way to change. Fighting through the fear of unknown. Standing up to something or someone that you feel is greater than you. And standing up for what you believe in. These are all acts of courage. When the situation is dire and all hope is lost, that's when the truly courageous men stand up. When everyone's about to give up, they shed their light and relight a hope of change. Through their determination they fight, and through their efforts they relight a fire in everyone's hearts once again. And as everyone looks at them in awe, they know that's how a hero is born. Now, I'm not telling you to be a hero. I'm not telling you that you need to save everyone. That's not what I'm telling you to do. But, at the very least, try to protect and provide, to make your life and the lives of the people that you care about better, even in the absence of hope. Try, even when you fear greatly the difficulty. Try, even when you fear such immense pain that you want to run away. Try to make your life and the people you care about better. That's what courage is about.